I recently visited my local bookstore that sells new and used books, and I wanted to share what I got. The first book I got is Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, and the reason I picked this up was because I had watched the movie adaptation of this story and enjoyed it, but I didn't get all the details of the story and wanted to know more about the deeper meanings, so I thought reading this text version of the original story would be the best way to go about that. This translation I got is by Simon Armitage, and I did some research on which translations were recommended, and this is the one that came up the most often. The bookstore also carried the first and second editions of the Penguin Classics version of the story, but I didn't see anyone recommending those translations. The next book I got is The Collected Tales of Nikolai Gogol. I picked this up because I had previously read a book called The Namesake, where Nikolai Gogol plays an important part of that story as an influence to the characters. Additionally, Nikolai Gogol is a well-known Russian author, and I wanted to be more familiar with his work. This is the Everyman's Library version of this book, so it's a hardcover, it comes with a nice slipcover, and has good quality paper. This is my first time getting an Everyman's Library edition, so I'm curious to see if I enjoy it and if it's worth the extra cost. This next book I got is by Ed McBain, and it's called Where There's Smoke. I had picked this up because a YouTuber called Man Carrying Thing recommended this author in one of his videos, and I was curious to give it a shot. I don't usually read crime or police novels, so I was interested in giving that a shot and seeing if I enjoy it. In his video, he recommended a couple different titles by Ed McBain, but I wasn't able to find that specific version. I picked this up from the used section of the store, so I only got it for $3.50, which was a pretty good deal. This next book I picked up from the used section of the store as well, and got it for $6, which is a pretty good deal. And this is Heart of Darkness and Tales of Unrest by Joseph Conrad. I had read this book as part of one of my classes in high school, and I was interested in coming back to it and rereading it, as well as the other stories in the book. One of my goals in this trip to the bookstore was to find a book that I knew nothing about, I didn't know the author, I didn't know anything about it, just a totally random find. And this was my choice for that book. I chose this book because it was a vintage contemporaries edition, so I knew that someone enjoyed this book enough to publish it under that edition, and I thought I would give it a try based on that. So I don't know anything about this book, but I'm excited to give it a try. This next book is David Foster Wallace, The Pale King. I also got it from the used section of the store for only $11, so for such a big book by a well-known author, I think that's a pretty good price. I picked this book because I had previously read David Foster Wallace's Brief Interviews with Hideous Men, and I enjoyed that, and I wanted to read more of his work. Additionally, I watched the movie of Brief Interviews with Hideous Men, as well as the movie The End of the Tour, which is about another author interviewing David Foster Wallace while he's on tour for his most well-known book, Infinite Jest. So I'm interested in reading more David Foster Wallace and getting to know more of his work. The last book I picked up was Vineland by Thomas Pynchon. I had previously read The Crying of Lot 49 by Thomas Pynchon, which is a bit of a shorter book, but I still enjoyed it, so I was interested in giving some of his more long-form content a shot. Those are all the books that I picked up. Let me know if you've read any of these books and which one I should read first. Thank you.